Hey everybody, Poker Dad here. I'm here to give another session review. Three videos, 3 days in a row. Definitely putting out a little more content than than I've been used to, but I feel like this is an important type of video for me to make, these session reviews. Just a quick update on tonight. I actually end up playing multiple tables again, and I actually ended up at a time playing 4 tables at America's Card Room, but I actually felt like I played really well tonight. One of the things I did that was different tonight is I set up Table Tamer. Table Tamer is actually a really great program that you can set up hotkeys and also set up predictive betting. So it actually made playing a lot better because I had set up already predefined betting for different situations. So it made it a lot easier. I didn't have to worry about calculating bets and whatnot. And in addition, I was able to convert with Table Tamer, you're able to convert the actual money to big blinds, which is so much easier to calculate in your head. So I was actually able to play 4 tables pretty comfortably. Most of the session I played 3 tables, but there were times I played 4 tables when I was searching for new tables and adding tables, just looking for better tables. But there was one point where I just found 4 good tables and I didn't want to leave any of them. I was down for the session, $20, so a little bit less than a buy-in. But as you will see, we did have some coolers tonight. Anyway, what I have done here is I have filtered Poker Tracker for hands that I saw the flop where there was at least 15 big blinds in the pot. So without further ado, let's jump into it. First hand here, we have King Jack suited from the big blinds. And it goes, as you can see, it looks like it can be a big multi-way pot. So I decided to isolate here. Not sure if my isolation bet was too small or not, but we get a call. We actually get a bunch of calls. So actually, this hand here was played on Bet Online tonight. This is the only hand here that was played on Bet Online that I have in this filter, because at this point I was currently testing out Table Tamer on Bet Online at this time. So this is actually a Bet Online hand, because you would not see something like this on ACR. Anyway, we flop really well. We flop a straight flush draw. That's not bad. I decide to check here in this 4-way pot, and button does decide to bet, and then we get a raise here from the small blind. So I decide to flat that raise, and button comes in. Now we hit our flush. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm definitely just going to bet here. I don't want to rely on somebody else betting. So I put in a 2/3 pot bet, and then we get a shove all in. So of course I'm pretty happy about this. And he calls, and we take it down. Luckily, we didn't get he didn't have a ace of clubs, which would have really stunk. But we ended up taking it down. Actually, this hand was played at NL10 while I was testing stuff out, but I'd say it worked out pretty well. Not too much to analyze there. Okay, 1 second. I gotta change the HUD here. Okay, next hand here. What was? Oh, you know what this hand was? You see, this was another test hand. So actually, I posted just because I just wanted to play a quick hand. So kind of funny. This was another test hand. This is NL10, multi-way pot. I have top pair here, so I decide to bet, and we get a call. Check comes in, and I decide to check back, and my opponent takes it down with a better ace. This was another test hand, so I didn't realize some test hands would come in here, but still they are their hands nonetheless. Okay, here we have King Queen offsuit from the cutoff. I bump it up to 3 big blinds. It was actually so convenient having these buttons already set up with the correct betting that I wanted. Really made the life so much easier. One thing I didn't have to worry about. Anyway, a 3-bet comes in here, and I call it. One other thing I want to do here is I just want to get my Power Equilab on the side and just make sure that I am opening, that I'm playing the right hands here. But king queen offsuit, I'm pretty sure with a, I'm not going to put this on screen, but I'm pretty sure with a cutoff open that I actually should be calling this here. So let me just double check. Versus 3-bet. This is about a 9 big blind. We'll call it from the button. I mean from the big blind here. King queen offsuit. Yeah, I can call or I can 4-bet it, so I decided to call it. Okay, so this hand was played correctly so far. My opponent checks, and I'm definitely just going to check back here. So this was a mistake. This was a mistake. I definitely should not have bet here. And my opponent calls. I bet again. Raise, fold. So we made a mistake here, not realizing that we did not have the initiative on this hand. So obviously, I cost myself a lot of money by not realizing that I had, well, not too much money, but I did cost myself some money by not realizing. Actually, no, I did cost myself a lot of money because 8.3 big blinds plus another 16.10. Wow, look at all that I cost myself because I didn't realize that I didn't have the initiative pre-flop. So that's a multi-tabling issue right there. We'll count how many multi-tabling mistakes we make in this. I think that's very important to keep track of that. So that's one multi-tabling mistake. Okay, here we go. We get a raise from the under the gun. So I'm definitely going to 3-bet here with my ace-queen offsuit. And he calls, of course. And he donks into us here, and I don't see any reason to call this here, so we're going to fold. Get an open raise here, so we're definitely going to 3-bet him with the king-queen offsuit from, the button versus cutoff. Small blind decides to come along, so we go multi-way. Not a great situation here. We check back. King comes out, which is nice. This guy leads, which makes it kind of a difficult situation. He could always be leading with an ace here when he checks out of position. It's a half-pot bet, so I decide to call it here. And a 6 comes out, and he bets much larger now, so I don't really think he's ever doing anything worse than kings. I also don't think he has a flush draw with me having a heart and a spade, so I'm blocking both of those potential flush draws. So I have to think that maybe, he has some kind of ace here. It was a 3-bet pot, so he could always have a hand like ace king or ace queen here. Any kind of maybe some other suited ace as well he could have. He can definitely have some kind of ace here. He's got plenty of aces. I would think that would call here on a 3-bet from the small blind. Kind of a weird spot. Not really sure what to do in a situation like this. If I should have just folded that turn. Or if calling was the right play. I'm almost certain calling was the right play. I was doing some research on this earlier today while looking at Card Runners EV. And calling in that spot to a half-pot bet with second pair, especially when there's a flush draw out there, is definitely the correct play. The only negative about it is I was blocking both flush draws, which makes it less likely that it's a bluff. So you can make a better... you can maybe say that I should actually fold there, but I'm going to take a look at this hand. I'm going to review it. I'm going to take a look at this one tomorrow and see if that call was the correct call. By the way, if you would like to see a video of me using Card Runner EV, I've gotten pretty good at using it now, and if you'd like to see a video, let me know. I do hope to make a video at some point with me using Card Runner EV and just showing you guys how I use it. It really is a super powerful tool. Anyway, we get a 3.4 big blind open raise here. I decided to call it instead of 3-betting it here, which I think is perfectly fine with the 3.4 big blind bet. Don't know much about this villain at this current time. We get a backdoor flush draw. I check it. He bets, so I decide that I am going to just call this one here with the ace and with the backdoor flush draw. Flush draw now comes out, which is great. He decides to bet. I decide to raise it now with my nut flush draw. I think this is a good spot here to raise, especially if he didn't have a king. And he folds it up, so I think we played that hand pretty well. Here we have king 9 suited. So I decide to call here. I just want to check my ranges real quick. I am playing without looking at ranges, which, I've actually been watching some videos. I'm getting coaching from Adam Weasel Jones. I really respect him, and he, I've been watching some of his pre-flop videos as well that he puts out on his website, and it really helped me learn how to play without looking at pre-flop ranges and understanding more the concept behind pre-flop ranges, and not living and dying by actually looking at them, but being able to play with them and just review my play afterwards. So spot like this right here, we're in the big blind versus a cutoff open. I don't have verse 3.5 big blinds, but verse 3, it's a call. So I think King 9 suited is probably right on the cusp, and I'm okay calling this here in the big blind, even to a 3.4 big blind open. We get a king, which is nice on a monotone board, and he decides to bet super small here, so definitely going to call this. 3 comes out, and now it goes check, check. And when a 10 comes out here, I decided just to throw out a small underbet here. Just trying to get value from worse than the king, maybe, that might have been betting. If he has some kind of other, maybe pocket pair, like a pair of 9s or something like that. He calls it, and he did have a king, and he ended up with 2 pair, which is fine. That's why I like the underbet there. I can bet for thin value. If he beats me, at least I didn't invest too much into it. Here we have ace-6 offsuit, which actually, I want to double check this. This should be just a limp. Let's see. This here actually should just be a limp, so I shouldn't have raised it here. But I did. So anyway, we get 2 pair, which seems pretty nice. In fact, I forget where I have. Again, like I said, I don't really use these HUDs because I use hand to note. But here's where the fold to steal is here. Anyway, not a big sample size, so I decided to do that. I could have limped it. That's fine, whatever. Anyway, we get a amazing flop here with 2 pair. So since I was the opener, I definitely will c-bet this here, and I c-bet it 2/3 pot. And he calls it, which is okay. He could always have some kind of ace here. Maybe he has a flush draw or something like that. Another ace comes out, so we have a full house. Definitely feeling good about this here. So I bet it about 3/4 pot here. And he calls me. So this is turning out to be a really, really great hand for me. 10 comes out, and now I think it's time to just... I throw out a pot size bet here. I definitely could have shoved it, but I decided to throw out a pot size bet. I mean, my hand is a little bit vulnerable here. In case he has something like ace-jack or... ace-10 even, but I mean, it's not like I'm ever going to fold this hand here, but I decided just to throw out a pot size bet instead of just shoving him all in. Then he decides to raise me, but he doesn't shove me all in. At this point now, he's got 17 big blinds behind. I'm just going to shove him all in and look to take his stack here with my full house. Unfortunately, spoiler alert, I didn't want to give a spoiler on this one. Maybe I did a little bit. He beat me with a better full house on the river. So this was definitely kind of annoying to lose full house over full house, especially to get rivered on it because I was ahead the entire time. So this is just, without a doubt, a bad beat here. Nothing I can really do about it. Full house over full house, it's going to happen every once in a while. And in this type of situation, this is the most likely way to lose full house to full house. But definitely kind of sucked to flop so well, get the turn, and then he rivers a better full house. So I don't know if there was really any way to prevent this from happening. I think this is going to happen no matter what, and we move on from this situation. Here we go. I just have to take a sip of water. Here we have ace-3 suited. I bump it up, and we get a call. And we have enough flush draw. Pretty happy about this. So I decide to bet half pot here. My opponent raises me. Definitely going to call it. And we do hit our flush. It's a beautiful thing. I check. My opponent now bets. And now I definitely want to raise and take the initiative back in his hand. He calls it. Great. And an 8 comes out here. And now with 71 big blinds, in the pot. My opponent has 75 big blinds remaining. I have 64, actually less than him. This is just a clear shove for me here. And he calls it, which is a wonderful thing. And he had a worse full house. So nice recovery after that terrible loss there. Now we win a stack here with a flush. Here we get an open raise from the button, and I 3-betted here. So this is an interesting situation, because this actually is a decent. This could be. Actually, no. This is pretty bad. Actually, this actually is pretty bad. When I actually think about this here, I messed this up. King 6 suited actually here should be a fold. And I 3-bet him. For whatever reason in my brain, I was thinking about. I don't know what I was thinking about. I don't know what I was thinking about here. Oh boy. You know what I was thinking about? I was thinking about 4-bet bluffs. Oh, because I learned about 4-bet bluffs today. And King 6 is a hand you could use for a 4-bet bluff. And that's what I was thinking about when I made this. I'm going to chalk this one up to a multi-tabling mistake. This will be multi-tabling mistake number 2. And you'll see how this hand turned out. It was a complete disaster. He calls it. And I decide to lead into him with the backdoor flush draw, which is another big mistake. And he calls it. And now I check, and it goes check, check. And the queen comes out, and I decide to bluff here. And he calls me. And he had 2-pair queen jack. Yeah, this is a really bad hand, and we lost a lot on this hand. I think I lost about $13 on this hand. So this is a hand I never should have 3-bet. Not only should I never have 3-bet, I never should have thrown out a c-bet here either. Now, the only correct play was this play here, but we never should have gotten this point because we never should have 3-bet this hand. We never should have c-bet this hand. This should have been a check fold. So, yeah, I mean, you think about how it's down $20 and think about a hand like this right here, which was a big mistake. Plus, you think about the other hand, the other mistake that I made earlier on in this video. And that's one of the big differences between me having a winning night and a losing night. Mistakes like this can definitely not happen. And I'm not going to blame it on multi-tabling. I'm going to blame it on this hand being not understanding and the situation and just misreading the situation completely. And it was the same thing with the other, multi-tabling or not. I misread the situation and I have to, I got to be better than that. Here we have Jack Queen suited from the cutoff. I raise it up. And we get a 3-bet. And I'm definitely going to call this here. So I don't think I could 4-bet this here. This is a cutoff. Cutoff versus big blind 3-bet. And how much was the 3-bet again? It was about a 9 big blind 3-bet. So Queen Jack, yeah, Queen Jack is a call. It's not a 4-bet at all. Get a backdoor flush draw. He bets into us here, so this is a spot I could definitely call it here. I don't want to fold this, but I do. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about this. I guess I don't know. I mean, I have 2 overs in the backdoor flush draw. I think I probably should be calling this here. But it's going to be kind of a tough one. It's going to end up being a really messy hand here. I think it would be better if I had a flush draw. I'm going to tag this one too and take a look at this one tomorrow, see if I should be calling there. Here we get an open from the under the gun, and we get a caller in the cutoff. So I think this is definitely a squeeze opportunity for me here. So I do bump it up. And we get 2 folds here, and we get a call from the cutoff. We get a nice flop here with 2 pair. So I throw out a half pot bet, which is pretty standard in a 3-bet pot, and he folds. That was a pretty easy hand. Here we have a limp, couple limps, so I am just going to isolate here. Get a call. Get 2 calls, so we go multi-way. Middle pair. Don't love it. This guy bets, and the other guy bets, and with this board here, with the king out there, and me not having any draws at all, I think this is a pretty clear fold. No reason to watch the rest of the hand. So here we have somebody who posted, and this guy here raises up. I am definitely going to call here. I'm going to be in position versus him, so there's really no reason for me to 3-bet him here. I'd rather 3-bet hands with more equity. The only time I should really be 3-betting hands like this is really from the small blind, where I need more playability. But I want more equity here in this spot to 3-bet. So this is a basic call. Unfortunately, we go multi-way. Multi-way is fine here with multi-way is fine here with a flush draw. We would, like I've said before, in multi-way pots, we're more interested in hands that can make 5-card hands than pairs and things like that. And this flop is actually really good for me. We got a flush draw, plus I have top pair. Pretty happy about it. We get let into, which is fine. I decide to call it. And we get a guy who shoves all in. And he folds here, and this one really I had to really give some thought to. But I feel like it's really hard for me to fold this hand here. I have a pair at least, and even if he's doing this with, a set, I have the implied odds to call him here. So I really think that calling is actually the correct play, and I'm going to definitely take a look at this one tomorrow. And I will show you what happened. And a 7 comes out, and a queen comes out, so we get our flush. But as you can see, our opponent had a better flush here. So this was definitely another cooler. Really sucked. When he flipped the Jack King and I saw he had the flush draw, I was not happy about it. So I was just telling the computer, just do not hit a spade. Do not hit a spade. Do not hit a spade. And unfortunately on the river, a spade came to give him a better flush. So in this session, we lost flush over flush and full house over full house. Kind of gross spots. I'm pretty sure this was the correct play to call this all in. But I'm definitely going to take a look at this one tomorrow and just take a look at the math and see if it was the correct play to call this here or not. Here we have King Queen offsuit. And if you want, as a follow-up video, maybe what I'll do is as a follow-up video tomorrow, I will take these hands that I review, and if I have the time, I'll take these hands that I review and make a video of it and show you guys how I do review these hands in a little bit more depth. But here we go. So far 2 mistakes on multi-tabling, by the way, so that was not a mistake. I think that was an okay call. So here we are definitely going to 3-bet the cutoff. I'm fairly sure this is the right play. We have the equity to do it. Small blind versus cutoff. Let's see. I'm checking my ranges. Yep, King Queen offsuit. Absolutely a 3-bet here from the small blind, and we get a call. Not the best board here. We check. Our opponent checks. Now I'm definitely going to throw out a delayed c-bet here to try and take down the pot. My opponent calls. We miss it here. So this is a spot that I'm just kind of confused about. Now I know I'm really supposed to bet here as a bluff, which I do, and I bet pretty big. Is it the right play on a board like this? I'm not sure. I'm told, this is something that that my coach harps on, that we need to have these follow-up bets. Are the delayed c-bets the right spot for it, or is this something I'm supposed to be doing? In other spots like floating and probing? I'm not sure. Not 100% sure. Something I should probably ask would be probably a good thing for me to do. So anyway, I bet here. He calls, and he had ace-3, ends up having a flush, which is fine. I mean, I think I'm pretty supposed I'm supposed to still bluff there, because what else am I going to do? I mean, king could be okay, could be fine there. King high could win there, sure, but it's doubtful. So I'm really trying to get his aces to fold. That his ace high is the fold, because if it goes check check and he has an ace high, I lose. And that's why I think really it is the best idea to bet there, because I do want to fold out his ace highs there. And of course he bets, I have to fold to any bet. So that's why I really think betting is the right play there, and I want to bet bigger there. I don't want to bet half pot. I'd rather, get him to fold that. Plus, he could also fold some pairs. I mean, that was a double paired board as well. So, it was a double paired board. So maybe he'll fold out some weaker pairs or something like that also. So that's why really bluffing is the best play there. So I don't even know why I'm doubting myself. Bluffing is definitely the best play there. Here we have a limp, so I'm definitely going to isolate, get the call. So obviously the limpers, as you know, are rec players. Again, if you haven't seen my last video, this is the VPIP and this is the PFR for the in the HUD, and here are the 3-bet stats. Those are the biggest important ones. The C-bet stats, turn stats, and everything right here. But for this video, if you're curious about HUD stats, curious about what kind of the player type is, here is the VPIP and the PFR. This right here is number of hands, and that number of hands I have is the number of hands for the session, I believe. Yeah, this is for, not for the session, but actually for all the hands I have on that particular player. So here we flop pretty well, I'd say. We throw out the C-bet here, 2/3 pot. Our opponent calls. Queen comes out, still feeling pretty good about this hand. I throw out now a 3/4 pot bet. And my opponent raises me here. This is an interesting spot with the raise. Because, I mean, what is he raising me with here? I mean, Queen Jack is definitely a concern. He would have a full house here. His raise is so small, though. It's just a min raise. We can never fold to this here. So we call it, and a 10 comes out. Oh, this actually was, oh, I'm sorry. This actually was all in. Okay. I mean, this is all in. I mean, we're never folding this here. We got more than enough equity to call it, and we just hope we don't lose this one. As such, he had a pair of sixes. But, I mean, obviously here in the turn, when he goes all in here, we have 16% pot odds. Obviously, we're never folding this here. I mean, we got this board crushed, and if he has Queen Jack, then so be it. But obviously, he does not. He had Ace-6. Here we have pocket aces. We raise it up. We get a call from the button. We go multi-way. Not the best thing for pocket aces, of course. But of course, we are definitely going to C-bet here, half pot. And we get a call from the button. And we get a very nice turn for us here, giving us the nut flush. So we're going to continue betting. We bet about 2/3 pot bet here. And the fold comes in. We take it down. You have ace-queen offsuit. Get a raise from the button. And I'm pretty sure this is a standard call here. I don't think I would be for betting. Let me see here. So actually, this is interesting. Ace-queen offsuits versus a button 3-bet of 9 big blinds really should be a fold. And I guess it kind of makes sense, because when our opponent is 3-betting versus an under-the-gun player, and this player looks like a reg, he's a 24-21, it should be a fold. Now, we take a look at his 3-bet stat here. His 3-bet stat, he 3-bets a ton, 14.8. Now, let's take a deeper look here. We can actually look at the pop-up here, and let's see, 3-bet from, I'm going to really try and learn this, by the way, because I do like the hand reviews still through Poker Tracker 4 as opposed to Hand to Note for filtering purposes. So 3-betting from button, he 3-bets from the button 40% of the time. 3-bet from here, sorry. 33% of the time, and he's done it 20% of the time versus under the gun, which is probably just this one time. So, I mean, he 3-bets a ton here from the button, 6 out of 18 times. I think with, like, a player like this who's 3-betting a ton here, we could definitely call it ace-queen offsuit. This is why pre-flop ranges are more of a guide than they are a law, so I think we could definitely call here with ace-queen offsuit. And now we 4-betted there. That, I think actually Yeah, I don't like this. I don't know. Actually, I think it's okay. I think it's okay because ace queen offsuit, we can make this a good bluff here. The problem is if he calls, we don't have too much playability post flop. It would be better to do this, I think, with something like ace queen suited if we were going to do this. But I remember just like looking at this guy's HUD and seeing how much he was 3-betting and wanted to actually 4-bet him here with such a strong hand like ace queen offsuit. As such, he decides to call it here. We do get top pair, which is a beautiful thing. Plus, we get the ace of clubs, which is nice as well. We could have played this two different ways here. We actually could check call this here with the ace of clubs, actually. I think I bet here, half pot, but I think actually this might be a decent spot to actually check call this here. Either way, I do decide to bet, and he calls me. Jack comes out, and let's see. I decided to shove all in. Let's just go backwards and just take a look at the situation from the flop. So, yeah, we're in a low SPR spot here. If I just pump up my calculator real quick. Wow, this thing is huge. This is the first time I'm using my calculator, and it's come out the size of like Gigantor. Yeah, make this thing smaller. I just want a simple calculator. There we go. It's the first time I'm using my calculator on a new computer. Anyway, this is 100% an SPR pot here, as you can see, but I just wanted to show you. The effective stack is 77.48 divided by 46.44, so it's a 1 SPR pot. So actually, the way I played this here, what happened? Hang on. I lost my program for somehow. Okay. So the way I played this here is actually fine. I'm kind of glad I didn't check it though now that I notice it. But I could also tell you that I definitely didn't recognize this was an SPR pot on the flop. But obviously when the turn comes and I notice that he has 55.44 big blinds effective and the pot is 90, that shoving is really the only option here with top pair. And you know what? We're committed. We're committed here anyway with a 1.6 SPR. He called it, which is great. We just hope he doesn't have Queen Jack. And he had 6-7. So we had a flush draw. So it worked out well for us. Again, I don't want to call that a mistake, but that is a lack of concentration, just not recognizing in game that was actually an SPR pot. I'm only noticing that now during review, but it would have been nice to actually notice that while I was playing. I'm not going to call that a mistake, though. I'm still going to say we made 2 mechanical errors while playing multi-table. So 2, not bad so far. Here we open a raise, king queen offsuit from the small blind, get a call, get top pair. So pretty happy about this. I do bet 2/3 pot. My opponent raises into me here. So I mean, with it being a two-tone board, he could definitely be raising with a flush draw here. He's kind of a bad reg. He's a reg, but he's kind of a bad reg. And we know he's kind of a bad reg because his VPIP and PFR is 29-13. That's way too that's way too big of a difference between VPIP and PFR. Now do I have any C-bet? Let's see. I can't get the here we go. I don't have raising. I don't think I have raising on here. I'll raise flop C-bet here, 13%. So that's a very small sample. So anyway, he raises it here. So he could definitely be on the flush draw though, but he could also have a set of threes, which is quite possible. I think we definitely have to call it here though with top pair. 6 comes out and he bets into me again. Pretty hefty bet, 3/4 pot bet. This particular player isn't that aggressive though. He has an aggression factor of 2, which now this is kind of making me a little bit nervous. But again, I feel like I can definitely call this here in case he is on a flush draw. So I do call. Now I think we're definitely trouble here. He decides to bet here, and if he was raising with a flush draw, he got there. If he did have a set of threes, he got there. So either way, clear and easy fold. Here we have 10-9 suited. I decide to just call it here, which I think is definitely the correct play. I don't think I would be 3-betting here in this spot versus the under the gun. Let me just double check real quick. Cutoff versus under the gun. 10-9 suited, yeah, just call. So correct play by me. Goes multi-way, which of course we don't love, but we do love the fact we have an open ender. So I decide to actually just throw out a small underbet here with the draw. I could do a half-pot bet too, but I decided to do a small underbet. And everybody comes along, which is fine. 8 comes out now. We still have our open ender here. I decide this time just to check back, being in position, get a free card. And a free card is a good one here when we get the straight. So we check. Our opponent bets into us here, which is very peculiar. So he was pretty deep, 146 big blinds. So I thought about this here, and I said to myself, I could raise it with the straight. But my big concern here is the fact that it's a paired board. And, you know, he could have full houses here. Easily could have rivered a set of 6s here. So, you know, he wasn't the opener. He was a caller here, right? Let me just go back. No, he was the, that's right, he's the under the gun. So he was the opener. I mean, 6s are definitely possible here. He could definitely have a full house over there. Now, yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. He could have a full house. So that becomes the issue here. Do I raise or do I call? I decided just to call because, you know, I feel like if I raise, I'm only getting called by full houses here. So calling is really the best play. I mean, because there's no other possibilities here of, you know, there's no worse hands that are going to call my raise. So I don't really see the benefit of raising here. And we get it, and he had ace-5. So he was just bluffing. So it's nice to see some people try and bluff me too, because people have been calling my bluffs. Nice to actually get somebody to... my bluffs are getting called a ton lately. It's been kind of frustrating, but it is what it is. Here we get a... that's me raising it, of course, from essentially middle position with Jack-10 suited. And we get a call from the cutoff. We get middle pair, out of position. Definitely just going to check this here. Once it goes check, check, I definitely want to throw out a delayed c-bet here in this spot. We do have a gut shot as well. So we bet. He decides to raise us here. I think with the gut shot, we should definitely just be calling this. I don't want to raise it. We do have a pair of 10s as well. I mean, he could be raising it here, of course. He could have... I mean, it went... I bet he... You know, so he could have... Maybe he has like something like 2 pair, 9-7 is possible here. Maybe he has a set of 9s that definitely would have called the flop here. Maybe he improved to a flush draw and he wants to raise me here. He's kind of a reggish player, but not a good reg. So I think I definitely got to call my gut shot, though. I folded it here. So I think that's a pretty bad fold. I think I should have called that there. I mean, usually turn raises are very strong. But, I mean, we need an 8. We have 4 outs. I mean, if you want to just say 4 times, you know, if you want to use like the 4 times 2 rule, 8%, we need 8% equity, 8%, to call, that we should be folding here. Maybe Jack-10 is like what we fold. Maybe we're calling Jack-10 of clubs here with the flush draw, the combo draw, maybe even if we have a hearts or diamonds, maybe spades are the only hands that we're folding out here. Let me take a look at this hand. I want to look at this one and see if this is the right fold or not. Maybe it is the right fold, but I feel like it's just not the right fold here. I don't know. Maybe having the spades here makes it a fold. Here we have ace-queen offsuit, so we're definitely going to 3-bet here to the open from the cutoff. Flop really well with a 3 of a kind. Definitely going to throw out a half pot bet here. Not sure. Oh yeah, I did half pot because it was 3-bet pot. Get a call. King comes out now. We're definitely going to throw out a bigger bet here, so I throw out a 2/3 pot bet. for value, and we take it down. Here I have ace queen again. As you can see, I've had ace queen so many times here in this session. 3-bet, and we get 4-bet here, and ace queen suited. Ace queen suited, I think, is definitely something I'm going to call with a 4-bet. Call to a 4-bet. Let's see, big blind. I actually have this here. Big blind versus small blind. Ace queen. Yeah, definitely is a call. Ace queen suited versus a 4-bet. Big blind versus small blind. We get a backdoor flush, nut flush draw. He leads into me here. I just don't see the advantage of calling here, especially with the diamond flush draw being out there. So I fold it. I'm fairly sure that's definitely the right play. Plus, what was his bet size in here? I mean, he bet huge here too, so I think this is clear fold. Here we have ace king offsuit, so definitely going to 3-bet this here. Get a call. We're definitely going to check. Goes check, check. Ace comes out, so definitely want to throw out a bet now. I throw out a 2/3 pot bet and folds. Okay. Here I decide to isolate. Now I wanted to check this one here if this isolation is correct. King Jack offsuit. Yes, very good job by me. Not looking at ranges. I'm actually very happy with how I did pre-flop. Aside from that King 6 suited, my pre-flop play was like right on target, which I'm really happy about. Because I need to know my pre-flop ranges and how pre-flop works and the theory of pre-flop if I would do on a multi-table. So anyway, yes, that is the correct isolation bet there. The flop goes check, check. 9 comes out now, so he donks into me here. No reason to continue. Wait a minute, why did I continue? Okay, so same idea as before. I continued here with the gut shot. And I don't know, I just, let's see, that he bet 3/4 pot. I mean, I definitely think this is the right play here because he could be probing me. Let's see, if I take a look at, I think it's... let's see, versus miss turn, C bet, probe turn. You bet the turn, probes the turn. Oh yeah, see, look at this guy. This is great actually. So he probes, and 8 out of 10 times, so 80%. If you don't know what a probe bet is, I believe I've done a video on probe betting. When I decide not to C bet the flop, a probe bet is when the out of position player decides to take a stab at the flop. And, you know, I definitely think that a gut shot is definitely something I want to defend versus a probe bet. So, absolutely, this is the correct call. Unfortunately, we don't hit it, and when he bets, we can easily fold this here. But yeah, I mean, this guy is taking tons of stabs on the turn when we don't C bet. So definitely like that call there. Okay, here we open up with 6-5 suited from the cutoff, which is definitely the right play here. And we have an open ender, so we definitely want to C-bet here. Opponent calls, and we hit our straight. Beautiful thing. Decide to bet 2/3 pot bet again here. I don't know why I didn't do 3/4. Make it a little bit bigger. My opponent calls. I definitely should have made it bigger here. 10 comes out now, so I'm not going to worry about if he does have a flush. If he raises us and has a flush, good for him. We can fold out of his hand here, but I'm just going to try and get max value out of this and bet 3/4 pot, and he ends up folding. Ace Queen once again. I think you see a theme to the session. We like to get Ace Queen. Here we get top pair, so definitely want to throw out a C-bet here in position. I don't really see any reason not to C-bet here, especially with a flush draw out there. So I bet a 2/3. Opponent calls. Now a jack comes out. He donks into us here. Such a strange spot when you get these donk bets, especially such a strong donk bet like this. It's like, what the hell does this stuff even mean? You know, does he have queen jack here? I mean, that's my biggest concern, is that he has queen jack here. This was not a 3-bet pot. Easily he could be, you know, have so many queen jack, you know, offsuit hands here. Guy is obviously a recreational player. He's limping. He's a 33-14. These guys don't bluff so much, but donk bets are usually weak. So I think I need to call this here. I do call it. And if he was doing this with a flush draw, which is quite possible he was, when the flush draw completes, I just got to fold my queen. And there's really nothing I can do about this hand. But I definitely think the turn call was correct versus that very fishy play. We've seen those turn bets before, those donk turn bets. They end up being very weak. Here we just limp with our 10-9 offsuit. We hit a straight. That's pretty good. So we hit a straight with a flush draw to boot, which is pretty nice, on a monotone board. So I decided actually, because this board is monotone, and if I c-bet here, I think that there's going to be so many folds here in a spot. I think that this is actually a good hand to have in my check calling range. So I do decide to check here. My opponent checks back. Now the 10 comes out. Obviously, I'm not thrilled about the 10 because it totally devalues our straight here. And in fact, if he has something like King 9 that he would have, just called from the big blind, he's got a better straight too. That being said, I definitely got to bet here. So I bet 2/3 pot. I'm not going to let him see another free card or let him possibly bluff me. This board's getting pretty scary for my flop straight. He decides to call it. 5 comes out. I do decide to throw out another value bet. I feel pretty, like when he doesn't raise on the turn, I feel pretty good about my straight that I'm probably good here. And I think at worst, we're chopping. So I definitely think that I'm just going to bet here. If he raises me huge, then I got to really reevaluate this hand here. He does raise me, but his raise is not gigantic, all right? It's just a 3x raise, and I don't think I can fold this here. The chances of him having a flush are pretty minuscule. He would have bet the flop if he had a flush. I think if anything, maybe we're chopping here. I mean, I even think like a hand like King 9 is probably unlikely because I think that would have raised the turn. So I really just don't think he has even a straight here. Maybe he's got a set or something like that. Maybe he's got 2 pair, which is always possible. But I think we're good here. So I think we could just call this. And he had 7-6. So he had... he bluffed. Right? Yeah, he bluffed us here. So unfortunate for him. So this is the thing, though, is, I do bluff a lot on the river. And I think people are starting to see that image of me that I do tend to bluff on the river. So I'm getting, the advantage of the bluffing that I do on the river is I'm getting a lot more calls to bigger bets on the river as well. So people are paying me off for value and seeing that I don't always bluff on the river, that I do actually bet on the river for value as well. And I think that's the advantage of, while it does suck getting called on the river to, when you have a bluff, they see it and then they say, oh, this guy's always so bluffy. And you know what? Then they call the value hands too. So the question is, what's more valuable? Am I bluffing too much on the river? That is quite possible. And that is something I really want to look at and see if I'm bluffing too much on the river. If I can find some hands that I don't bluff with on the river when I have air. Definitely something I need to look at and get a better understanding on, because maybe I'm not understanding that concept of the game clear enough yet because I'm bluffing so much on the river. But I don't know. We'll have to take a look. Anyway, here we have king, so I'm definitely going to raise it up here. And we get a 4-bet. So this is right here. I decided actually to flat his 4-bet here. And the reason why I did this is because I'm 257 big blinds deep. No reason to get crazy here and possibly, 5-bet him here and then get shoved by aces and lose, an entire stack. When I'm deep like this, really flatting the 4-bet is probably the best bet here and just playing post-flop. The flop is interesting with a paired board. He decides to bet into me, and he bets into me half pot. And I really feel like the best play here, especially with me not having any clubs, or any draws at all, believe it or not, I think the best play here is for me to raise. I think this is a combo that I would want to raise. I think I would call combos where I have a club or I have a spade, but here, not having both, I decided actually to raise him here. My hand is so vulnerable at this point. I feel like if I call it, you know, I could be in a lot of trouble. If an ace comes out, I could be in trouble. If another club comes out, I could be in trouble. So I really am actually raising for protection here more than anything. And my opponent folds. I think this is the right play. We'll take a look at this one too. Obviously, I won't be able to look at all these hands, but I'll try and look as many as possible. Wish there was more time in the day. Here I decide to 3-bet a big blind versus the middle position. Let me check this one here. Big blind versus middle position. This actually should be a call, so this was an incorrect play. This is not a mistake. This is just an incorrect play. I really should be calling it here. I mean, you could definitely 3-bet it, but probably not the right play. Better off just calling it here from versus the middle position. Versus the cutoff, versus the button, definitely a 3-bet. Versus middle position, should just be a flat. He calls it. Don't really flop very well at all. Goes check, check. So here I'm definitely going to throw out a bet here. I just throw out a half pot bet here, given that it's a given here that it's a 3-bet pot. He calls it, and so this is a spot I actually decided not to bluff. And my thought process behind this was it was a 3-bet pot. A 5 comes out. If he wasn't folding on the turn, what, is he ever gonna, will he fold the river? Now I have a jack of diamonds, so that makes it less likely that he was on a flush draw here. More likely, when I 3-bet, he has a strong range in the middle position. Maybe we're dealing with jacks here or something like that, or 10s or something like that, and that wasn't willing to fold my turn bet. Now, let's see. I mean, the flop goes check, check, though. Wouldn't he bet his flush draws here? Right, he would bet his flush draws here. So that makes it even less likely he's got a flush, that he has a missed flush draw. It is more likely that he has some kind of pocket pair that he called. Maybe he has a pair of 8s. A pair of 8s definitely would call here. Pair of 10s, pair of jacks. And those are hands that would open up middle position and then call a 3-bet. Absolutely. So I just think I have no fold equity at all here. So being I have no fold equity at all, I really feel like that this check is the right thing. And that's what I want to take a look at going forward, is there are spots where I have zero fold equity. Maybe I just shouldn't be bluffing those spots and be okay to give up. I'm not sure. Questions for me to ask. We're going to find out. Until then, I appreciate you guys watching this video. I know you guys enjoy these session review videos. I enjoy doing them because I get to see how I did. And hey, look, I 4-tabled tonight, mostly 3-table, but I got some 4-tabling in, and we counted only 2 multi-tabling mistakes. Were they big mistakes? Yes. Did they probably cost me between a winning session and a losing session? Yes. But Table Tamer definitely helped me out here with multi-tabling tonight. I felt good about it. Probably something I could probably only do on America's Card Room. Be a lot tougher to do on BetOnline for multiple reasons. A, their software is buggy as hell. It freezes. The action is fast. But my HUD doesn't really pick up too well on it because it's not completely bad. So I'm not going to get into it now. Anyway, this video has gotten too long as it is, 53 minutes. I appreciate you guys watching. I got to go to bed. If you like what you saw, do me a favor, please subscribe. Click the like button. Do whatever you want to do. Thank you for all you guys that comment. I appreciate it. I have some people that comment all the time. I really love that. Thank you so much. And until next time, poke a dad.